Welcome back to another session of Live and Loud. Today we are in a different environment than usual. Rather than being in the Stanton Recording Studio at the Colleen Center, we are here in the Moore Musical Arts Center in Bryan Hall with our very special guests, KASH. Last initials, the first initials of your last names. Do you mind introducing yourselves to kind of clear that up for us?
Yeah, so my name is Riley Kramer, so K in KASH. I'm a senior here at BGSU studying jazz.
I'm Miles Anderson, A in KASH. I'm a first-year grad student.
I'm Tumaini Sango, S in KASH, and I'm a second-year grad student.
I'm Adam Hanna, H, and I'm a first-year grad student saxophonist.
First of all, I want to thank you guys once again for joining us for this very special edition. This is kind of a first for us, I believe. I feel like we should probably cover more so, especially with you all being students and music students, kind of what the music means to you and kind of what inspired you to become music students and how that affects how you make music. So first of all, I kind of just wanted to ask, how long have you guys been performing together?
Funny story, like 2 days. So the three of us, sans Adam, are all in combo through the school together. So it was just like we just auditioned and the faculty put us together this way. And we have another saxophone player named Will, who's auditioning for grad school in Oklahoma, so he couldn't be here today. But Adam stepped up and filled in, and then we used to be called KASH Quartet. We figured out that KASH would also work, so it was like match made in heaven as far as the letters and everything. But yeah, so we're kind of at the outset of this combination of the group. But yeah, like we've been playing together like on and off for. Miles and I have been going to school together like since I've been here, basically. But yeah,
that's actually really cool. I'm aware that quite a few of you have your own either solo endeavors or you are part of different groups. I know you are part of 1 Billion Lions, and Adam, you actually performed with the EMP trio. When it comes to working with other performers, do you find that it helps you get more into some sort of mindset for you as a musician? Do you find that you work better with other musicians? And this can be for all of you, not just the two I mentioned.
Well, I heard a Ringo Starr quote one time that I don't. Ringo Starr from the Beatles, if you don't know, which that's kind of sad if you don't.
That's where he's from.
Yeah. But he said like, I this is a terrible thing to say, but he said something about like, I hate practicing. Practicing is terrible. Like music is about interacting with other people. And so like he always said that he never wanted to he always had the most fun playing when he was in a room with other people. And I think that I've been blessed to be able to just being around BG alone, like so many different styles of music and so many different awesome musicians that I've gotten to play with. I can't get enough of it. And it's everybody playing with everybody in a unique combination. It's uniquely inspiring, and I especially in jazz because you can respond to things in real time that people are playing. So like it completely changes the game when you change the lineup of the band. And so I don't know if anybody else wants
to.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I often think with jazz, it's an improvisation. It's very much a conversation, and just like you can have people you like to talk to or you like talking to, or you think what they have to say is interesting, and you have people who you don't think that about, that can dramatically affect the process, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Anybody else have anything to add to that?
I guess I'll just build off. Riley mentioned briefly about inspiration, and for me, like that's everything. And when you get to perform with incredible musicians, like these incredible musicians, there are a million moments, small moments of inspiration in every performance that you can then build off of and then contribute to a conversation to create even more moments of inspiration.
I find that to ring incredibly true. I've always considered jazz to be more of an idea or a philosophy of music rather than a genre. Use of the word conversation, I find, really kind of describes the way that I consume jazz. And I find that when I listen to you guys, I really see that come through. And that kind of brings me to my next point. We have Cinnamon. That one I've got here was written by Tumaini. If you wanted to talk about that and how you guys reacted to it and interacted with it.
Yeah, sure. So I'm really grateful for the combo class, jazz ensemble class that we have here at BG, because it encourages us to bring in compositions that we write. And honestly, it's like watching it be born. It's a little bit of a vulnerable moment, right? Because like when you start a composition, mostly it's like by yourself, and maybe it's you're on the piano or you've written something down, then you finally write it out on the computer, get the parts, but you've only heard the MIDI of it, really, or what it is like when you play it. But then when you finally bring it to a band, you're like, oh man, I hope they like it. I hope that it comes out exactly what I wrote on the page, makes sense. So it is it's an act of vulnerability, and it's awesome that when you, like, I feel like I have the connection with these guys here, that you trust them, and even like outside of the practice room, you trust them as friends, that they'll receive it well too. So for my song, I came in not really knowing what groove I wanted for it initially. I'm very melody driven, harmony driven, and I was like searching through so many songs. I was like, I just don't know what pattern really fits behind this, where it goes. And bringing it into the combo, into the rehearsal room, and then really trying it out. Riley and I went back and forth on many groove patterns. We finally landed on one, which was really, really sweet. And also even our configuration today too with organ. I didn't know exactly that I would be playing organ on it. I initially thought there would be a bass guitar for it, but we didn't have a bass guitar that day, so I ended up playing bass too. So it was like a new way of me interpreting how to play the song that I wrote as well.
And he also he needed accountability on naming the tune too. I think it was like the day before the first performance of it, he didn't have a name for it. He was going to call it Final Project like 50 whatever, like the name of the class was. And so I kind of cornered him into naming it. So I think that's an important thing about collaboration too.
from what I've noticed, it seems like even with these spontaneous moments coming up where maybe you need to improvise, not even in the music, but outside of the music and before the performance, it kind of just highlights the essence of jazz, where it's less so something you prepare for and something that you kind of just it's always in you. And I definitely see that coming out a lot with you guys. I believe Miles, you had something to say. Sorry about that.
Oh no.
Oh, okay. We can hand the mic off to you if you want to talk about, I believe it's pronounced Bluje.
Yeah, blues. Yeah, this is a piece I wrote in the same. I believe all of these compositions were products of us in jazz composition class, which is one of the classes we take. I don't know, blues. It's kind of a play on a blues, but it kind of plays with some kind of aleatoric harmonic choices. So it's blending the worlds of, very sharp, angular, new music harmony stuff with, a blues foundation. And yeah, it's just a fun little game to play over. Yeah.
I like that description of a game. The thing I absolutely love about jazz is the way that people describe it. Everybody has a different description. So I found with just you guys alone a lot of cool ways to describe your music. Does anybody have anything else before we move on to that other track?
None of the tunes that we played were mine, but I guess I have a lot of experience interpreting. And I just wanted to comment on, Tamani, I think you hit everything, like, about the vulnerability and the trust in the musicians performing the works that you're collaborating. And I would say to go along with that is being kind of the essence of like letting go a part of your expectation. I know a lot of the pieces that I perform, because I'm filling in, I'm substituting, were written for like soprano saxophone or intended for a different range and a different instrument. And we've, through the collaboration, made it work on my instrument that I was playing, alto saxophone. But even just, and you guys can speak more to this than I can, but giving your piece of music to musicians, allowing the musician's personality and their musicianship and creativity to change the outcome of your piece, even if it's not exactly what you intended, trusting the musicians performing it to add their own take to then create, the best that they can make, and I think sometimes, and I've the habit of this, is if I were to write something, like wanting everything to like down to the finest detail, like of what I want it to sound like, but that's not taking into account the creative ingenuity and innovation that each musician brings to the table when we get to do something like this.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point of the relationship between the composer and the musician, almost as if the composer is kind of writing a language for the performer to speak. It's finding out how to translate that into something where you all kind of mesh together. I didn't know. Did you have something to add?
To add on that, like the composition isn't like the draft you bring in the first time. It doesn't have to be the final draft. So by letting go in the first reading, the second reading, the subsequent rehearsals, maybe then you'll find something new that you want to go back and, okay, I'll put this now and I'll put this into ink, and that's going to be a part of the tune. But because I didn't have that perspective before, I didn't even think we could do that or play this song this way. So that's a great part of the collaboration. The music that we write is always evolving.
Yeah, definitely. I would even describe it as like almost a form of magic. It's something you don't get in many other art forms. I kind of wanted to move on to that third track, At the Outset. That was your track, Riley. Do you want to discuss that one a little bit?
Yeah. So Tumaini actually set me up perfectly with what he just said about like collaborating and learning more about what you've composed from hearing other people perform it. I believe when I brought in my tune, it was just a 32 bar. So in jazz, there's like forms that the same like 32 measures repeats over and over again that we play over. And my form was like a basic 32 bar. That's like the quintessential like length for a jazz tune. And the guys were like, "Oh, it's cool, but it needs something like a little brighter. It needs to like go somewhere." And so I ended up going back to the drawing board with the help of the master harmonic interpreter Tumaini Sango. And we were able to devise a whole separate section in the repeating form, and I think it was really, really for the better of the tune. So yeah, collaboration is integral to everything we do. And so the actual inspiration for my tune too, it's kind of like a more modern. A lot of the things we're doing are like a more modern jazz. Like, doesn't sound like the stuff that like Miles Davis or Charlie Parker would be playing, but it's in a straight eighths thing instead of a swing thing, and it's a very organic. I made it in such a way that we could grow and decay it throughout for whatever the energy required in the moment. So it's a very free flowing. I like to be able to have the flexibility to make a bunch of different decisions when I'm playing, and I like that the band can kind of play over it and play with the way that they're playing and have it be different every time. So yeah,
For sure. And I think that's, I say I think, but I think it's pretty much a fact in jazz that you never know what happens. Even when you have an idea, seeing it evolve depending on who you're performing with, or even just the take, I think has a big implication as to where the track will go from there, where the piece will go from there, whether it's something that you don't like and you say, I'm not going to do that again, or just something that ends up being kind of something you stick with. And I want to thank you guys once again for coming and performing for us. A lot of great tracks, a lot of great pieces, all very different in sound, but all, like we said, jazz. So I'm aware that some of you have recitals coming up. If any of you wanted to plug those.
Yeah, my senior recital is on March 30th at 10 a.m. It's a Sunday, so yeah. If you want to, I'll be playing my tune on that. Some of these guys are going to be in the recital too, so it'll be a fun swinging time. So yeah, I don't know if anybody else got a promo thing. Or, yeah, none of them are graduating, so it's just me. But yeah.
I guess you should. This is going to a BG audience, right? So
Of course.
check, depending on when this is released, check the CMA website for the jazz area events. There's usually like 2 jazz weeks a semester.
Jazz Week this semester is, I believe, 2 weeks from now. This week and then the next week. So, yeah, I don't know how to describe it. 2 weeks from now is Jazz Week. So there will be some concerts and stuff.
We might be cutting quite close to when this releases to that, so we'll be sure to spread the word in other means. But thank you all once again for coming along and performing with us, or for us, and working with us. And I think that's where we're going to cut it off. I want to thank the members of KASH once again for performing for us today. And I wanted to thank you all for coming along and watching another episode of Live and Loud. I want to give a special thanks to the Colleen Center and the Stanton Recording Studio, as well as Falcon Media and Music Industry Club for another opportunity to put on this show for you all. And I want to give a special thank you to the Moore Musical Arts Center and the College of Musical Arts for giving us this space in Bryan Hall to perform, to put on this performance today. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.